Jonny Clayton, you said yesterday you had some harsh words with yourself. I don't know what they were, but they seemed to work because that was a much improved performance this evening.
Yeah, 100%. You know, my big friend Dirk is one of the coolest guys on tour. You know, he's a character, but he's an excellent dart player as well. So I knew I had to take my chances. If I could be strong starting off, maybe I could put him under pressure, and I think I did put him under pressure. So, you know, yeah, Dirk missed a few doubles, but I finished, and that's all, you know, for me, I've done my job, that's all that counts.
Is this starting to feel like 2021, the year of the ferret, where it was so good? The performances are coming back through into the latter stages of big tournaments again. Are you starting to get that same sort of feeling?
You know, I still got the belief, obviously. You know, if I didn't have the belief, I wouldn't play. But I think my standard of play back in 2021 was a little bit better than what I'm playing at the moment. So, but I'm getting on the right track, and that's all that counts.
Gezi sat there yesterday and went, everyone else is scared of Luke. He's the only one that's not. Do you believe that?
I think an honest answer is you have to be scared of him. Well, the two Lukes, obviously. Them two are pushing bars where we're all following, you know. But at the end of the day, Gezi's putting in some awesome performances, and, you know, we all tried to follow the two Lukes. So tonight's game is going to be awesome. At the end of the day, I think this is going to be one of the best games that we've seen for a long time. You know, the Van Veen game against Luke Littler was brilliant. You know, this could be better. So, you know, the sad thing is I've got to play one of these two. So, but I'm in the semis, and my job is done tonight.
Well, on that, you've got one that you said everyone should be scared of, or you've got your World Cup teammate and arguably best mate. Which one's the better scenario for Jonny Clayton?
I don't want any of them. I wouldn't mind somebody who's retired. Just, nah, but all jokes aside, whoever I've got, you know, I've done my job. I'm there. So whoever comes, you know, from the next game, I have to play. And whichever one it's going to be, it's going to be bloody tough. Thanks, pal.
Jonny, well done on the win tonight. You mentioned earlier that I don't think Dirk was quite himself tonight. Can you put your finger on maybe why he wasn't his best?
Well, it's hard when you're not hitting your first doubles, you know, your first three darts, a double in your first three darts. So it is difficult. So you're putting more pressure on yourself all the time. And, you know, I was lucky enough that, you know, I did get off in more legs than him before him. So, you know, I was the one that got away, where Dirk then was like 3 darts behind at some points. So, you know, that's pressure. And obviously, you know, I got a 2 set lead, and it gets harder and harder and harder. So, you know, it's not easy up there in any way if everything goes your way. So, you know, like I say, I've done my job.
Gezi spoke to us yesterday about playing the board instead of the man when you're up against Luke Littler. Obviously, that could be you tomorrow night. It certainly is Gezi tonight. How do you go on about doing that when you're facing Luke?
You know, there's never a true word. You play the board, but it's not as easy as that. You know, you at the end of the day, you're playing the hottest player on the darts planet. So, you know, in Gezi's case tonight, he's playing him now. You know, I'm playing the winner of them both tomorrow. But, you know, that's what you try and focus to do, is play the board. But generally, it's not that easy. And, you know, but the quality of these two guys tonight, this is going to be a belter.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Jonny, well done on that win there. I just want to touch on that match between Gerwyn Price and Luke Littler. Obviously, you'll be keeping an eye on that because you'll be playing one of them. But generally, do you or the people look at Luke Littler, maybe Luke Humphries as well, in a major tournament and check their progress, because they are the favourites, and if they go out, the field is wide open all of a sudden?
Yeah, 100%. But you know, we can all play darts. You know, we've done something right to be this far in a tournament, and you know, we've done something right to qualify to this tournament. So, you know, you can't write anybody off. I'm a great believer in anybody in the top 32 of the darts world now could win a tournament. So, you know, I'm lucky enough to be in the semi-final.
What's the pressure on you now compared to 2021? Because back then you were doing so well, you was entering tournaments, people almost expecting you to win because that's what you had been doing. Whereas you've not lifted as many majors lately, there's probably less pressure on you, less expectation. Do you prefer that?
yeah, the underdog is always better, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's not as much pressure, but that was a good feeling. That 2021 season, yeah, it was a good feeling. I want more of that, to be honest. I generally do. You know, I believe in myself. I think I can play darts, and if I can put everything together, maybe I'm going to be a force again.
You said that you are on the right track to get back to that level. Do you think you can get back to that level and even go one further than that?
Well, if I didn't believe that I could, there's no point sitting here, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? You know, I obviously believe. I believe that I can win the World Championship. Millions of others might not believe the same dream, but it's my dream is to win that trophy. And if I don't have that dream, what's the point in playing this game?
Jonny, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Congratulations, Jonny. Prior to tonight, you hadn't had any ton plus finishes in the tournament, and you've gone and put in 3 there. How pleasing was your end finishing tonight?
Yeah, it's great, obviously. You know, the 10 pluses are pretty, and do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes they take you out of a lot of trouble, you know. So, you know, yeah, things work for me tonight, and I'm a happy geezer.
And much like last night against Luke Woodhouse, was it important to sort of, you know, get stuck into Dirk and feed off him being sort of demoralised by how well you were playing?
I think Dirk is the type of player where if he gets ahead, look out. You know, and I was concentrating on either stay with him or, you know, try and get ahead. Obviously, try and get ahead, but I didn't want Dirk to get ahead of me. But, you know, I've done my job tonight. You know, I put pressure on Dirk, and I've won the game. So I come out stronger tonight. And surely, you know, he will have his revenge someday, and you know, I won't be looking forward to that. But tonight is my night.
And finally, just how special would it be to lift this trophy once again?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. You know, those daffodils in the vase I had last time, I prefer this trophy, so I wouldn't mind this one. So, all jokes aside, I'd love to lift it.
Thanks, Jonny.
Thanks.
Congrats, Jonny. I think
Too bad.
if it is Luke tomorrow, I think it'll be the 4th time you've faced him in a major this year. Does it feel a bit different being on that stage with Luke? Does he have a certain aura that maybe other players don't?
I wish he'd missed treble 20, I can tell you that. But no, he's class, isn't he? You know, the world can see that. Anybody that follows darts can see that he's a different animal, you know. But we can all play darts, and you know, I can always say my first game of darts on the stage against Luke Littler, I beat him. But we can't write Gerwyn off, because Gerwyn Price is a very, very good player, and that's going to be one hell of a match tonight.
Apologies for bringing this up, but I was just checking your head-to-head against Gerwyn Price, and I think he's beat you on the last 8 occasions. Do you find it difficult to play Gezi due to your close relationship?
Yeah, I do. You know, all the smiles and stuff, I do, because you know we have total respect, which I have respect for every dart player, but there's something special between me and Gez. You know, we're teammates at the end of the day. We're rugby boys. You know, there's banter. There's you know, taking the mick out of each other. Like, you know, and it's like I respect Gez. He's special. He's a great guy.